And us as Puerto Ricans, like we grew up in the household, like we went to religious instruction. My mother was on top of us with, church every Saturday, church every Sunday. We went to instruction on Wednesday. So when we saw a movie.
Instruction for what? What is the instruction? So, that's why I'm like, what's instruction?
Oh, so religious instruction was called CCD.
Essentially, it was Bible studies.
For like an hour or two, and they would instruct you on the Bible and the lessons and the teachings. But it was one of those classes where they would instruct you, but if you had a question, they would instruct you to shut the fuck up.
I always have this analogy, man. You can't sit here and post these inspirational prayers every day. You out here screwing some lady's husband. Like
exactly.
It doesn't work.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Yes.
Do y'all ever notice that people who have biblical names be some of the worst human beings ever? Have you ever got robbed by Abraham?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. And you know what? Back to Talladega Nights. That's why he prayed to sweet baby Jesus. All right, let's do this.
Yep.
All right, well, welcome to the Sofa Kingdom Podcast with your host, Nelson.
If you notice the lack of Ian, he's not here, but Ed is.
And our special guest today, Kyndra. So, Kyndra, tell us a little bit about yourself and your podcast.
Okay, a little bit about myself. I'm the HNIC. Okay,
right,
y'all don't know what that means. Go look it up on Urban Dictionary. Okay, cool.
I grew up in Brooklyn, so did my brother, so we know. We there.
Best I do or die.
That's right.
I am born and raised in Atlanta. Recent graduate from Clark Atlanta University. I don't know if y'all can see the little diploma in the back.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Born and raised, like I said, Clark Atlanta. My bachelor's in mass communication. So the goal is to have my own radio and television show.
Nice.
So in the meantime, until that happens, I am doing a bunch of different podcasts, and I know you got 10,000 listeners, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to be on other people's. Like, hey, I heard on their podcast. I'm making my.
Yep.
I think that's the best way to do it.
Making my Crump Show podcast. I started that back in. You have to, and and stuff like that. You gotta try to get who you can. I'm like, Joe Rogan ain't answering, so let me go to y'all.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I got my podcast started in like July of 2019.
Nice.
And I just started that simply because I got a lot to say. I got a lot of.
Oh, you're breaking up there a little bit.
I'm actually not afraid to get blocked anymore.
Yeah. I think that's the best way to live life, is not to be afraid to get blocked by anybody. You just got to go out there and do your thing.
And what it was I would just take I have a lot of male followers. And the problem with a lot of these male followers is that they don't have real interactions with women. They watch like a lot of porn and stuff. And so they think that if you say hello to them, they're like, oh yeah, let me just whip it out on them. Right.
Right.
So
Yeah.
There and would take that type of disrespect just because I wanted my following to stay, keep going up. But I'm like, to hell with that. Because I look at it like this, because I'm always by myself anyway.
Sure.
So if they catch me in person, they could still I'll go to public places. So in case something happens, I can yell help. Right.
Right.
So anyway.
Yeah. But the whistle really doesn't work. You should learn some self-defense. Like me and my brother, we both do jujitsu. And my daughter,
I need y'all for bodyguard.
Hey, listen, if you need some help, we got you. But like even my daughter, who was a small girl, I put her through training jujitsu, and now she's in the Air Force. She's a D1 boxer. Like she took it to another level. But I always felt wholeheartedly like, hey, as a woman, you really should know how to defend yourself in those situations. I think it's important because a lot of guys are assholes. Let's be quite honest with that.
What do you think that came from, though? What do you? I can't say it's really porn, but do you feel like what do you feel like else attributes to that?
See, I think it's a couple of things. I think it's other guys embracing other guys, and it's that bro science. Like, oh yeah, this is how you get a girl, and this you got to be a bad guy for them to like you, or they're not gonna like you. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, and I think that that's a huge problem. Also, I think that society propagates that kind of bad behavior when you're watching TV and music and other things like that, because there's entertainment for entertainment's sake, but I think that there are some people that can't distinguish between the two.
I mean, how many movies is it standard for the person to just keep chasing, no matter how many times they're told no? Like the goal of the movie eventually is like, oh, congratulations, you were just annoyingly persistent.
Right.
And in real life, that starts getting a little weird. You were told no.
It's sketchy.
After you're told no once, you need to leave.
What it is. I think this is my honest belief, but again, I'm about to piss a lot of people off, but hey, it's okay. My honest belief is if you keep on asking a woman, trying to chase this woman, or I don't want to say just women do it too. If you're chasing this man and you keep getting told no, or you're blocked, or you're put on restrictions and you're talking to yourself, just go ahead and register yourself for a sex offender, okay? That's what you are at this point. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah. For real. I agree.
This is not reality. You know what I love, and I like how you all have a movie podcast platform. Like, this is perfect because I love watching movies, even though I don't really watch any as much as I, used to like to, because I'm out here trying to get out of Section 8 neighborhood by chasing my dreams. With that being said, I like, I used to think that movies was reality. Like, oh yeah, maybe if I end up doing this or doing how they did in this movie, it'll the same outcome will be for me. No, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah. No, but even think about it, like with comedy movies, right? Even back in the day, some of these movies that you watch now, you can't get away with that shit. A lot of that shit that they did, it was like, you crossed the line. Like, even in the movie Nerds, it's supposed to be a comedy, and the guy pretends to be her boyfriend and goes into the room and sleeps with her, and everybody's like, ha 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 ha. Like, no, that's rape. That's not funny, and it's that's a shitty thing to do. You should go to jail. But back then it was like, oh, that's just kids being kids, and that's comedy, and you can't do that shit. And that things like that, I think, teach people the wrong way, because like you said, like, we have the wherewithal within ourselves to watch a movie or listen to a song and be like, that's cool, that's funny, that's entertainment. But there are some people that look at that shit and they're like, oh, that's how it gets done, that's real life, and some people can't distinguish between the two.
And you know what? I'm glad that you all have an IQ of like 8,000, because you understand, like, from yay high. Like, I feel like y'all probably graduated high school in like 10 years old. You guys are just that smart. You guys understand the assignment, And I think one of the things was before I went to high school, of course I watched a lot of high school movies. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna be able to dance on tables and roam the hallways, and where would I want? I'm gonna have a boyfriend for every day of the week. I failed at a boyfriend for every day of the week. I failed at roaming the hallways. It's a lot of work that you have to do. Like, it's a lot of mess, and stuff like that. And a lot of the guys are not as attractive as I thought that they would be. It's so funny how when you're a child, you think a lot of people are attractive, then you get older, like, bro, what the hell was I thinking? Like, there's some celebrities I had crushes on. I'm like, bro, like, no.
You know what it was for me? I didn't wear my glasses most of my childhood because I thought it was nerdy. So I always hid my glasses. So then when I put my glasses on, I was like, damn, you ugly. Okay, all right.
Like, what about the whole club scene where, like, you go? I don't know if you guys did a little clubbing back in the day.
Yeah.
But you would go to the club, and when the lights came on, you're like, bro, I can't believe I danced with her, bro. Are you gonna call her?
Yes. Oh no, that's definitely a thing. Club lighting.
Start looking for the emergency exit. Like, oh shit, why didn't you tell me?
Hilarious.
No, that's the truth.
Yeah, but like I said, that's basic. Oh, I wanted just a couple more minutes on my podcast. Basically, my podcast, because no one else. We're gonna veer off the road, and we're like, we were supposed to have a topic.
Yeah.
So basically, my podcast comes out Friday nights. I did 2 podcasts. I did it for for a couple of weeks. I did 2 podcasts within the week. And I basically have a segment called What Would You Like to Ban? BAN. Right. So for example, I want to ban people who park over the line. Yeah. So something that people do, and you guys are, like I said, I think y'all are coming on this Friday.
Yes.
And so with that being said, it's just nothing but we sit here. I say names of my podcast. If you piss me off, I need to let people know about you. So
that's right.
Beware of this group of people. Beware of this person.
Yeah.
Even probably beware of this podcast who's going to waste your time like they did mine. But hey, what do I know? So we just have fun, and it's just always like a shoot the breeze type of segment going on. And I, sometimes we get very serious. Where last week I talked about forgiveness and the importance of that,
right?
And that was pretty much it. So it's never a dull moment in my life.
Yeah, no, we listened to the podcast. We thought it was great. We liked the way that you set it up with different guests and everybody interacting with each other, and we enjoyed the format. And I think the podcasts do have a mind of their own, though. Like when you're discussing, you go in there with like a template and you kind of stick to some topics, but it goes where it goes because the conversation should be alive. It should have that feel to it. And I think that's what's dope about doing podcasts.
Ours usually go off the rails because Nelson sets a format and then immediately throws it out the window.
I do. That's what I do.
And then you just got to play catch up.
Yeah.
It's fun though. That's what makes it fun because you realize like how people, the different thoughts. You know, it's okay to kind of veer off the road a little bit. That's I think that's why I'm like, hey, my podcast is no holds barred. You're like, what's the topic? I'm like, we don't really have one. So, you know, join at your own risk.
I think that's what makes it fun too, and it makes it engaging. You know, because people nowadays, like a lot of us, like when we decided what we were going to talk about, like movies, video games, and music, things like that, we're like, we didn't want to get too heavy. If it does, it does. But we wanted to like provide an atmosphere that people could come to and just kind of lose themselves for an hour, just listen, have a laugh, maybe learn something along the way, and then you know, enjoy themselves. You know, so that's what we're having fun with doing with the podcast. So Ed,
And when did you guys start yours?
oh, we just started recently. We've been in this going on like only a month right now.
Woo!
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, had a couple of test runs and working out the equipment, and then, you know, signing up for a distributor and clicking all the little boxes and yes to this place and that place and YouTube and start the channel and all that other.
And now we begin the grind. That's it. You know.
Yeah.
So.
That's it. It worked out.
Yeah. So as far as in the beginning of the podcast, we like to discuss about something new in our life. So Ed, what about you? Anything you're into now?
The new thing this week, because I had finished playing Hades, which was an excellent game, is I'm playing another game, Greedfall. It's an RPG. It's kind of fucked up because part of the game is almost you're essentially a European colony going to an island of natives and you're trying to take it over.
What the fuck?
So it's like,
And this is fun to you?
it's like colonialism
Yeah.
as an RPG. But you're playing the character that's trying to merge all of these different communities peacefully. So you can go in there, be an asshole, slaughter the natives, just take over. Or you could go in there and go, no, this is good, and try to bring these different, essentially warring communities together to a hopefully successful resolution. And then you have all kinds of monsters and creatures and all the standard kind of stuff you have in any video game to kind of bring in something more than just the fact that you're essentially a diplomat.
All right. Sounds like an interesting game. How about you, Kyndra? Anything new going on in your world that you want to talk about?
Yeah, well, this week, I think that the only thing that's new is I'm really making men. That's it.
Oh.
If you want it, that's it. You got to pay.
You got to go after it. Yeah.
and I haven't had anybody yet. So apparently they want it, but they're not trying to pay. So there it is. You know the reason why. Because they're possibly watching movies that say, oh, well, if you just say hey to a girl or have a couple of, words of game in quotation marks, she'll want you. You can get it for free.
Right.
These women don't make men work for it no more. Tell you, they don't. Take you back to the 90s, the Freaknik era.
Some of that is also about, respect for the person you're pursuing and respect for yourself.
Right.
You see, it seems like a lot of that was lost at some point in time here in the last 10, 15 years where that kind of dissolved and went to the wayside. And, with everything kind of being on the internet and swipe this way, swipe that way, just
everything's
for
fast.
the night and all that. Yeah, give me that right now. It really did kind of fall to the wayside. Chivalry is fairly dead and halfway buried almost at this point.
Yeah, even going back to the club scenes, like, I have a younger daughter and she tells me like, oh, the guys will walk up to you in the club and grab your hand and pull you or grab your ass or, and she's like, she's not about that. And she'll knock somebody out or throw them on the floor. So I'm proud of her for that. But it's also like, that's how they're approaching. Like I used to, offer a drink. Hey, would you like to dance?
Yeah.
You want to come up and my name is Nelson,
Hi, how's your evening going?
Yeah. Crack a stupid joke, something to break the ice. But that seems to be something that is lost. with the younger generation. Hopefully they find their way back, you know.
They probably should, but you know what the problem is? These be older men that be, you know, who don't have no type of game or anything else like that. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I did listen to the episode where you're talking about the 50-year-old dude. That shit was hilarious.
It gets worse. It gets worse. They're all getting the one from New York. I believe I told. Yeah, that one. He because you know what happens as well. Once you reach a certain age and you see a lot of people are, you know, families and they're in a different lifestyle and stuff. Like you're missing that. You're like, I want a family, so you're trying to go after anybody. And I'm like, sir, no.
Yeah. Well, so for a little context, how was he coming at you? What was he saying? How was he trying to pursue you?
This is what he said. He's like, hey, are you single? And I said, I'm single and chilling. That should have been right there. She's not interested.
Right.
Then it went to, so what about you? You know, you wifey material. I'm not going to leave you like all those other guys if you tell me the truth. What else?
He didn't know how to read the room. You were trying to be polite, and he just wasn't catching the fucking drift that you were throwing out there.
I like people in my age group.
Yeah.
You know, that it's just not going to work. He's like, we guess we got to be friends first, right? And I'm like, yeah, no.
It's like, no, you're not getting it. We could be friends, but that's as far as it goes.
Exactly. That's where it's going to stop.
And if that, though, right? Because I think sometimes when you're dealing with a person like that, man or woman, if you encourage them a little bit, it's almost like you're giving them the nod for later on this could happen. It's like you're like 99% sure this is never going to happen. They're like, all right, cool, 1%. I'm in still, you know? So you can't even be nice to some people because they take that for granted, or in their mind it's something else, and you're trying to correct that shit in a polite way. Sometimes I say it to everybody. I was like, sometimes you just got to be like, nope, like you said, block them and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, you know what I always say, man, let's start normalizing people who comment, you know, unfunny stuff on your page. Like, block those people too. Let's normalize blocking those people who do that.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Yes.
Let's like it's just you know what? I guess, like I said, I was trying to spare people's feelings and stuff, but no, I'm at the point now. Like I said, you get one time with me. If you do not show up at an event that you asked me out to be, you can never see me again. You're just gonna see me online, see me on social media.
Yeah,
that is it.
Yeah, that
flakiness.
flakiness.
I'm gonna speak when being spoken to. That's it.
Yeah, that flakiness is an unattractive quality, or like unpreparedness, not showing up. Like, see, I'm a military man, so like I'm gonna show up early. That's, you know, I'm not gonna show up on time. On time is late. You know, you're gonna be prepared. You want to put your best foot forward. You don't want to act a fool the first time you're meeting somebody. Like, that's when you should be like at your best. Because if they're coming in there unprepared and acting a fool, then it's only downhill from there. So you're setting the bar real fucking low.
That, you know, and thank you for your service. How many years did you do?
I did 4 years.
Okay. Was that your intention, or did you want to do the full like 20 to 25 years?
No, I did 4 years, and then I had my daughter. And so I had to make a choice at that point if I was going to put her through that military life with me, which can be a difficult life for some kids. And for me, I wanted to be really involved in my daughter's life. And so I was like, I'm going to have to put the military life aside and go a different route, which I did. You know, I became a building engineer. I worked construction and did that. And I stayed home and local. And to me, I think it was a big payoff, because now my daughter's in the Air Force. She's in the academy. She did really great in school. I was able to watch her grow up and do those things. And to me, even though at the time I didn't really understand how important it was going to be as an adult man, I do appreciate it looking back and saying, like, you know, I had an integral part in her life, and seeing the person she's become, and then she's taking the ball and running with it. So I'm very proud about that.
That's real.
Thank you.
That's real. That's real. And I'm
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit there.
Oh, okay. There we go. You're back. All right.
You broke up there. We lost you.
Okay. Now I was saying, could you adopt me since you seem like a cool dad?
Oh, I mean, you're a little older for adoption at this point, but we could definitely be cool, and I can give you some dad-like advice.
Okay,
How's that
cool,
sound?
that
All right,
works.
cool. I definitely bring the dad jokes a lot of times. I get the face from my daughter, especially like when we train in jiu-jitsu, because we have a community of fighters, and you would be surprised how really chill those people are. And I think a lot of it comes from the humbleness of actually fighting. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, I'll black out and I'll fight this and I'll do that. And I'm like, well, if you've actually been in a real fight, a real struggle, you'll see the real difference. Like, you could get hurt really fast, really bad. And the humbleness of knowing that you're not always the toughest person in the room. And sometimes that little geeky Poindexter in the corner is the motherfucker that's whooping everybody's ass up and down the mats. and he doesn't because he's a nice guy, or girl. Cause I know plenty of women that are some incredible fighters and that damage men's ego on a regular basis, and I love it. I love watching it because they come in there like, I was just going easy. Like, no, you weren't, bitch.
Exactly. Let them know now.
There's nothing better than watching somebody come in and get humbled by a woman half their size, and then they have to sit in the corner and act like for the rest of the class, like, I was just being nice. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. We watched you. You were being an asshole.
Yeah.
And she worked you.
Yep.
And now you're just trying to be nice in the corner.
Yeah.
But you know what? He probably won't learn. Some people still won't learn from that. Like, it's people
correct.
like that. You would think, but they don't.
Now, those are the people that generally don't show up for a second class.
Yeah, they don't last. Because if you can't check your ego at the door or be willing to be humbled and be willing to learn something new, then martial arts really isn't the place for you, because those people get weeded out fast.
Especially jiu-jitsu. A lot of striking ones, you can do some sparring, but you're limited to how hard you could go and how often. In jiu-jitsu, you really could go pretty hard every class because you're not physically hitting the person.
Yeah.
So you regularly have to put your ego in check. Otherwise, you will get hurt. You're going to try to hold out and somebody's got you in something. You might find yourself at the doctor because you couldn't stop and be humble and say, nah, you got me. All right, start over.
Have you ever done any kind of martial arts or physical training like that before?
No, just weight training. That's about as physical as I got. It was a little tough with that, but no, nothing in that realm.
Even weight training is physically humbling sometimes, like especially in the beginning when you first start off and you're watching those videos and you jump into class, you're like, all right, I'm gonna do the full hour, and then 10 minutes in, because I know what happened to me, I'm like, oh shit, all right, I'm sweating, I'm breathing hard, But like, even for jiu-jitsu, no lie, like the first year I spent getting my ass kicked. But I had the mentality of one day I'm going to kick other people's ass. So it's worth the toll you pay to get to that end result. But then when you get there, you still find that there's another level, like, oh shit, all right, cool. Now I'm better than these guys, but damn, there's a whole nother group of guys or girls that I didn't get to fight with over there. And
that's real.
And if it's nothing you've ever done, try a free class one time. It's really cool. It's a really fun atmosphere if you're like, because you seem like the type of person that's engaging and would like that community vibe. It's a pretty cool, fun thing to do.
Of course. Wait, can I do YouTube University? That's where I learned.
Unfortunately, this is one of those things where you're going to have to get on the mat.
I do believe the Gracies have an online course, but that requires you to have a second person. Otherwise, you're just swinging at the air.
Yeah. Well, I got a cat. We fight. So.
You know what? I take it back. Yeah, you and the cat. You got this.
Okay, me and this cat, man. She was on one yesterday. Like.
Oh, that's great. That's great. All right, so let's jump into it. I know that today we wanted to talk about some comedies, right? And I think we've all had different comedies that affected us differently in our childhood, in our adulthood. And, for me personally, like when I reflect back, probably the first comedy that really grabbed me was The Princess Bride. And I don't know if y'all seen The Princess Bride.
I think everyone's seen The Princess Bride.
Have
Ain't
you?
that with Anne Hathaway?
No, it's the lady from House of Cards.
I think you're thinking of the Princess. Is that Princess
Diaries.
Diaries?
Princess
Yeah.
Diary. Yes, yes,
no,
yes.
This one had Andre the Giant in it.
Yes. And the guy from CSI, really, really young in that movie. And it was the whole one where
Yeah,
the guy,
maybe I wasn't everybody who's seen this movie. Oh my
Okay,
gosh.
so if you haven't,
That's the one with Inigo Montoya,
Yes.
where he has the line where
you kill my father, prepare to die.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's basically like set in a fantasy storybook kind of thing. Like Fred Savage from the Wonder Years is very young, and his grandfather is reading him a story about this prince and princess off in a faraway land. But it was just a silly, stupid comedy that you could sit down and watch with your family and enjoy it. And Billy Crystal was in it. That's how old it is. You know, like, I don't even know.
Oh, Billy Crystal, throwback.
Yeah. I don't even know if he's still alive. Is Billy Crystal still alive?
I think I believe he has a show on Netflix.
Oh, okay. All right. There you go.
Yeah,
So-
I was shooting dice with him last week.
Oh shit! There you go. That sounds like a good time. Next time, invite me. I'll be down. Listen,
Can you really shoot dice?
I can shoot dice. I can play dominoes. I can play spades. I grew up in Brooklyn.
Let me find out, man. So
We
I was
Puerto
gonna ask
Ricans.
you, what's your, if you don't mind me asking, what's your ethnicity?
Oh, we Puerto Rican.
Okay, got you. So, tu hablas español?
Oh, see, he doesn't.
No, not very well. Not very well.
He was the guy at the family where we're talking shit about him in Spanish and smiling. You know, like when you walk in the room, you're like, man, are they talking shit in Spanish about me? We're like, yeah.
If you want to go by the passing grades in school, 5 years passing, not a word learned.
It's okay. Well, that definitely works. That definitely works. Okay.
You speak a little
So
Spanish?
what was it about that film? Wait, did you ask me? Do I speak it? Well, I used to be 50% fluent, but if you don't use it, you will lose it.
That's
So,
true. That's true.
I know phrases. I know the bad words.
See,
except
those are the most important. And your
Wait,
friends.
nobody taught me the F word though. I'd like know the F word in other languages.
See,
but
so
not that one.
so motherfucker is like maricón, and puta is bitch. You know, you got those are like the favorites. We don't really say like fuck you.
Yeah,
we use a lot of.
I mean, you have like chinga tu madre, which is
Yeah.
fuck your mother.
Yes. We use a lot of, I think the Spanish culture uses a lot of derogatory towards your mother cursing.
Yeah.
And that's how they get down because they want to go as offensive as quickly as possible.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But you said you like the Princess Bride, and what else? Else did you say you liked?
Oh, so as far as Princess Bride, Talladega Nights was another good one for me.
Will Ferrell.
Bobby.
Ricky Bobby. You know, I love that one. And then like American Pie, that was like a passing of like the adolescence in the most stupid, ridiculous way possible. When I watched them, I was like, they're all morons. And that's what made that movie funny to me. But for me, definitely, like, I'd say, like, Talladega Nights out of the three of those would be my favorite.
That might have been Will Ferrell at about his best there. That run of movies there that he was doing.
Yeah. What about you, Kyndra? Any movies, any comedies that impacted you in your youth or your adulthood that you like to talk about?
I'm gonna give you three. I'm gonna say "Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood." That's one.
Great
I
movie.
love
I
that
like
one.
that film, especially the grandma, because she kind of is. I'm like her in a way. You know, she goes. You know, she worships God. She'll curse you out, and she'll open up a can of whoop on you.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
now with the trigger finger. I'm an old school. You know, whoop folks. That's what I do. I fight with the fist, not with the gun. Like,
That's
come on,
right.
now. Come on. When did that become cool? All right,
I don't
so
know
like
because
that
we
movie.
grew up that way, right? Like shoot the fair one. You're gonna fight a fight, and then maybe you'll be friends by lunch, you know, and it's over.
As you should.
Yeah.
Let's go to Walmart, steal something out of the store together.
And we
You know, but I like that movie because I feel like, okay, in my opinion, I feel like that was the Wayans' best saga film because Mo Money was terrible. Let's just call it all the way a spade a spade.
Yes.
Mo Money is bad. I still have not seen I'm Gonna Get You Sucker. Like, I think I've seen one clip where Jada Pinkett was talking to what's Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yes,
I think they were talking to a lot of each other in that film.
Yes.
I don't really remember.
I've seen that so long ago that that's not relevant.
That's the one with the pimp with the fish, the goldfish in the shoes, in the platform shoes. It was kind of funny in a really corny way.
I definitely have to, I guess, watch it, take my time with it. Major Pain was not good to me. Like I said, I think Don't Be a Menace was the movie that it was like, okay, everyone is really showing their talents. And there was messages in the film as well.
Yes.
Undercover Brother.
That's another good one.
I remember coming across that film when I used to have cable, and Comcast would give you those free channels for like 90 days, and then they cut it off day 91.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Eddie Griffin. Now, of course, he was acting in other movies, but it was just like, to me, I felt like it was like, okay, him being Antoine and him kind of, in a way selling out in a way.
Yeah.
But seeing Billy D. Williams on camera, I'm like, man, this is a fine man at 105 years old. Billy D. Williams has been around, man, since Adam and Eve first got kicked out of the garden. So them even just talking about like, the food, and a lot of it was relevant today. I felt like it was like, okay, this is a good film that Eddie, didn't sell out in. He just really showed his powers and everything else like that. It was great. And my last film is Head of State. I like that movie because it showed, first off, the fact that, a lot of when he was on his campaign run and he was hitting like the what's that thing in Chicago? The Players Ball. They don't have it no more. Him being around the Players Ball, him actually having his brother to run with him, and Bernie Mac being, that was like a black film, like a fantasy film. Like, I'm like, man, why didn't Obama do this? But black folks can't be too black in office.
I tell you what, too, that Bernie Mac show was one of my favorite shows on TV. I watched that shit growing up as a kid, and I liked his stand up. I liked him in the role in the show altogether. He played the father. He didn't take no shit. He was funny on the show. Head of State. That's with Chris Rock as well.
That is,
that's Chris Rock. Yeah, that was good. I liked Chris Rock in a lot of his movies, even in Dogma. I don't know if you ever seen Dogma.
I never heard of it.
Okay, so it depends. Like, if you're a real religious person, it might be an offensive movie because it is absolutely offensive to the Catholic religion as a whole.
He plays
but in a funny way. It's meant to be satire.
He plays the 13th apostle who was written out of history because he was black.
Yes. So Chris Rock, he did a great role. They had this thing called Buddy Jesus, where like Jesus, he's just kind of like, and
the church was trying to get past some of the controversy by rebranding Jesus.
Yes,
as like
as your buddy,
as your happy best friend, and trying to take him down off the cross where he looked like he was, dying and being miserable. It's an interesting
depiction of the Catholic religion because they really poke holes at all the things that, like, each religion is meant to teach and help people learn how to live and have a belief in their God and their Savior, and that's cool. But some people take it too seriously, and then that's what it really was poking fun at, like the people that are reading the Bible and twisting it for their own personal benefit and gain. And I thought it was a really good comedy when it comes to that.
You know what? And I can definitely check that out. Like, I think, I'll check it out. Like, I grew up in an evangelistic household. So, there was a lot of stuff that was a sin and still is now, which I'm like, where's it say that in the Bible? But okay, what do I know? So, I mean, I can check it out. I can definitely check it out and everything else that,
And us as Puerto Ricans, like, we grew up in the household. Like, we went to religious instruction. My mother was on top of us with, church every Saturday, church every Sunday. We went to instruction on Wednesday. So when we saw a movie,
instruction for what? What is the instruction? So, that's what I'm like, what's instruction?
Oh, so religious instruction was called CCD.
Essentially, it was Bible studies. You would walk yourself after school to the church and then essentially go to school again.
for like an hour or two, and they would instruct you on the Bible and the lessons and the teachings. But it was one of those classes where they would instruct you, but if you had a question, they would instruct you to shut the fuck up. And they wouldn't really answer anything that, you know, would offend their sensibilities. So to me, that's too where I started questioning. Like, I don't question my religion or my faith, but I question the people teaching it.
I see what you're saying. And let me say this. I had to find out who God was for myself. And I always have this analogy, man. You can't sit here and post these inspirational prayers every day and you out here screwing some lady's husband. Like
exactly.
It doesn't work.
Exactly.
You can't do that.
Yes.
Do y'all ever notice that people who have biblical names be some of the worst human beings ever? Have you ever got robbed by Abraham?
Yes.
100%.
Yes. And you know what? Back to Talladega Nights. That's why he prayed to sweet baby Jesus. And she's like, you can't, you know, Jesus grew up. He's like, I like baby Jesus. I'm going to pray to baby Jesus because that's who I like. And you know what? I'm with Ricky Bobby. I'm going to pray to baby Jesus.
And speaking of Ricky Bobby, I remember, and because I wasn't allowed to, when you know, my father was militant as well. So he was the type to, but I don't know like what type of militant this was. I feel like this was like his own way of doing things. But I remember he did not want, if the rating was PG-13 or R, he said you have to be that age where it says. I'm like, Dad, that's not what PG-13 stands for. Can you read? That's not what R-rated movies stand for.
Right.
You know, so I remember when Talladega Nights had hit the movie theaters. It's like, this is back in like the close to late 2000s.
Right.
And I was like probably 11 years old at that time. And I remember wanting to go watch that film, but of course I wasn't allowed to. But we had a substitute teacher and a guy said, hey, what's your name? And he said, Ricky Bobby. And everybody's laughing, but I was like, who is Ricky Bobby? So I didn't know exactly what that was. And then I got older. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I'm so late on this.
Yeah.
You know, black folks ruin the movie before you actually like get a chance to see it. So
My sister is like that too, though. So I can't watch a movie with my sister before she's seen it, because no matter what kind of prep talk before, you're like, listen, don't tell me nothing about the movie. I'm gonna watch it. She'll try to sit there. She'll be like, oh, this is a good part. This is a funny part. Just preemptively before that part happens, and you want to kind of like choke her, you know, but she ruins and spoils shit. So yeah, I can't stand that.
Do you have any family members who talk during the movie, like literally be like yelling at the characters?
Oh yes.
Is that your sister as well?
That's my sister. Yes. Yeah, she's very passionate about what she is watching, and like she's also like the multitasker, so she'll be on the phone, social media, you know, playing with her hair, watching the movie, but don't miss a beat, and then start yelling, don't go in there, don't do that, or, you know, like, I'm like, damn, man, like, we're trying to watch the movie in peace.
Of course. And that'd be annoying, man. But you know what? Hey, that's your sister. You love her, but you know how to deal with her.
Exactly. Do you have any siblings?
5 of us.
5.
I'm the youngest girl. There's a brother after me, so I'm like the middle child.
Okay. All right. Nice. Yeah.
Nobody. I only out of my immediate family, I only have one sibling who laughs at what I have to say. Everybody else be frowning on what I have to say. I'm like, hell with all y'all, man. It's okay. None of y'all will get this minx fur coat.
That's right.
Y'all can't come see me. And I would say Calabasas, but I don't like dry heat. But y'all can't come see me in Miami in my penthouse.
That's right. We from Florida ourselves. Are you in Florida?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Oh, you're in Atlanta. Oh, very nice. You know, that's where I went to train. I was in Fort Benning, Georgia. I went to Sand Hill for
how'd you like it
my
out there?
basic training.
How was the food and everybody?
I thought the food was amazing, and I would tell you what, it was the first time I actually ate grits was when I went to Georgia.
Yeah. Did you feel a little bit thicker, because grits make you thick now?
Oh, it was good. It was good. I tried it with salt, and then I tried it with sugar. You know what I mean? Like, I got butter. So everybody was telling me different ways to try it out. And I got a sweet tooth, so I wound up with like more of like a farina feel, like the Puerto Ricans like farina, so it's sugar with the grits, and I loved it. But yeah, I enjoyed the people, the atmosphere. It was also like the first time I went to a step concert was in Georgia, and that shit was dope.
You got that good Southern hospitality, like that really good Southern hospitality.
Yeah, it was nice. Have you ever been to Florida?
I finally broke my Florida virginity. And you know what? I'm glad you asked that question because I learned never to assume nothing.
Right.
Right. Like even when I talk to people who are in Dallas and say, hey, what teams do you rep for? They'll say something other than the Cowboys. I never assume. I also learned that not every man watches sports. I don't assume, you know, but I finally broke my Florida virginity. Miami. Well, I was supposed to be, I had like a little hotel stay in Fort Lauderdale early this year, but I cheated and I said, I'm going to Miami because I was like, oh, Fort Lauderdale's boring. Yeah. No, I should have stayed where my money was a little bit more, where it was wanted. Miami, I'm like, yeah, you know what's so crazy? So many women are like, hey, I want to go to Miami. Miami's where it's at, blase woo. But I'm like, how do y'all afford Miami? How do y'all afford to go there? Like, are you guys sleeping? Is it like 2 beds to a room and somebody sleeping in the sink?
It is expensive like New York because we grew up in New York, so it's expensive like New York to live in Miami. Yep. Fort Lauderdale is nice. Yeah, it can be a little boring. We live out in West Palm. And it's kind of like middle ground between Fort Lauderdale and Miami.
West Palm. That was y'all. Listen, I've been traveling back and forth to Florida so much, I might as well live there. And I went to it was Fort Lauderdale. Well, I guess I can count it in a way. Yeah. But I'll just say I went to Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I went to Orlando, Daytona, and West Palm Beach, all within like a 6-month period. And I'm not traveling no more. I'll be back next year. But I will say West Palm Beach is a nice little vibe. Like it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. And you know, if you do more stand up in your future, Florida, West Palm Beach has a nice improv. It has a lot of local comedy clubs. A lot of improv clubs out here between West Palm and Miami. But personally, like we live in West Palm. It's really nice. I love going to Orlando. That's my place to party because it's a little more chill. Miami is wild as fuck.
I know. Have you ever had somebody try to just offer you cocaine for no reason?
Oh, that's Miami.
In Miami,
yeah.
Florida.
Do they actually offer it to you for free, or do you have to pay?
Oh no, you have to pay. There's no free in Florida. No.
You know what you could do? You know what you could say if you want it for free? All you gotta say is like, I've never been high off coke before. Can I get a freebie?
Oh, then you're asking to wind up somewhere not knowing where you were for the last couple of hours.
Get it from them and you just run. That's all you gotta
do. Actually, the first time I was offered drugs like that was in Philly. I was hanging out in Philly when with some of my friends, and they walked up to us. We just came out of the pizzeria and they were like, yo, you guys want some drugs? You want some coke? You want some? I was like, no, we're good, man. They followed us up the block. I was like, yo, we're going to have to fight. They followed us up the block. Yeah, they're like, we know you got money, so if you don't want to buy it, we're going to take it. Oh, yeah, they were definitely crackheads.
Yeah, Florida's deceptive. It's a much larger state than people anticipate.
You know what? That to me is, I've never been offered like hardcore drugs before. Like it's always been like the weed. It's like, hey, you want to hit this? That's it. But nobody has ever came up to me and said, hey, you want to? Nobody's ever done that at all.
Not even when you came to Miami?
I mean, Miami's...
You know what? And that's the thing. When I came to Miami, like, so I think has to be a certain time of night where they have to do that. Yeah. You know, I was there during the day when everybody pretty much was kind of like at work and all that.
Yeah. So, that's the nightlife Miami for sure.
Miami was built on cocaine. So that's all over the place there still. It's not going anywhere soon. That's the backbone of that city.
So here's my question. What's the police doing about that? How come they
Oh, they in. They having fun too. They're hanging out.
I was thinking, like, bro, is cocaine like a fun, like, you know, I'm just trying to figure out. I'm like, nobody takes nothing seriously. Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
You can probably do a lot in front of cops. They ain't gonna care.
Let me tell you, Florida, as far as I've lived in a lot of places, Florida's pretty relaxed when it comes to a lot of those things. They really just don't want to see people harming each other, but it's like a little mini Las Vegas in Miami. People are just having fun, partying, and as long as you stay in that mindset, they won't really fuck with you out here. They're just like,
man, I'm in the wrong area, Georgia. This too. Let me tell you something. You know, I literally like when I was out there, because like I said, it's a 30-minute drive from Fort Lauderdale. So, and I hate the toll roads. I really do. Like y'all, they need to get rid of toll roads. But anyway, but when I was out there, I just remember First off, DJ Khaled's restaurant, the mac and cheese was bad. Okay, it was nasty. maybe because he's from the Middle East.
So you didn't want and another one when you had your first one. You were like, nah, I'm good with the first one.
It was nasty. I went to Trick Daddy's restaurant.
Yes.
That food, and I have this joke, right? So I figured out, like, they say the craziest people come from the Bronx and all of Florida, and I think I know why in Florida, right? So the Trick Daddy's food, it is it's saturated with too much salt and sugar. And I'm like, it makes sense because your brain is overloading. It's hot outside. So
yes.
You want to go do crazy things. That's why the craziest people come from Florida. Now, the Bronx, I don't know. Maybe because it's too cold up north and they just, I don't know. But anyway, I'll figure out a joke when I go to the Bronx.
I think for the Bronx is because they wish they were from Brooklyn. So they have to overcompensate.
It's just horrible. But no, like, I don't know, like I say, go if you, and then they had the audacity to ask for a tip and then they forgot my cornbread. They forgot my cornbread. I wanted to go back, but I didn't want to be that person.
In the South, that's a sin. How do you forget somebody's cornbread?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? You lucky. You lucky they asked you for a tip. Most of these places in Florida now, they're making you pay the tip as a part of the meal. They're not even saying, "Oh, do you want to give this service person a tip?" And I don't mind tipping if they're good, but when they know they're getting the tip, they tend to be a lot shittier to you a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean, mind you, because I've worked in the food industry, and I think everybody at some point needs to work in retail and the food, and or some type of hospitality job, hotel, whatever, so you can know how to treat people better.
I agree.
But for me personally, like, I'm a great tipper, but there are some people out there who, like, bro, like, they don't. And you're right. Hopefully, I won't run into that where if it's already in the bill, like the gratuity, where they just act crappy anyway. But they asked me, did I want to leave tip? I said, nope. It's like, I'm like, bro, you can't leave the way. Like, I mean, if it comes back and I'm great, but no, it was like not many seats. Trick wasn't even working that day. Typically,
that's bullshit.
I thought he was gonna be there because I wanted to at least say hey to him, but no, he was not even there that day.
But you know what they say?
It wasn't good.
They say, like, you don't want to meet like your heroes or people that you look up to. Because like I met Black Thought from The Roots. Okay. And I was so psyched. Like, I won a contest to meet him. Me and my boy, we were going. It was at a college in Pennsylvania. And when we went back there to meet them, they were like chilling. They were doing their thing. They didn't want nothing to do with us. If we weren't a woman, they were like looking over us like, hey, can you move out of the way so I can talk to them over there? And we were like, God damn. Like, you could have just said hello for 30 seconds and that would have made my whole fucking evening.
Some people, let me tell you something. One of my favorite Bible verses is, what is it profit a man to gain the whole world but lose his soul? And there are some people out there who are so on the top, they're high and mighty that they think they're invincible. And it's some people, like I said, man, like, for example, Cam Newton, first time I met him, I was like 18, and it was the way that we met was just on a horrible way. Like, he didn't want to pay to get in. He thought he could get in for free because he was Cam Newton. He was snitching on other gyms because, like, I get in free there. And I'm like, bro, you ain't been taught nothing. Like, you ain't been taught. If somebody's doing something for you that they're not supposed to do, you always keep your mouth shut.
Exactly.
Anyway, what do I know?
No, that's the truth, though. That's a nicety that somebody's doing for you. You keep your mouth shut so you don't,
Yeah, you don't want to have that person risk losing their job because they're doing something nice for you, and you want to run your mouth to everybody else about it because you're trying to get free shit in other places.
Yeah,
exactly. But I think over time, I feel like he has a better PR team and other people in his corner guidance, because I feel like he's changed a lot more. But like I said, he rubbed me the wrong way, several years back. I will say this: Chili from TLC came to my kiosk not too long ago, and she left me her autograph for a sign. I acted like I didn't know who she was, and she still did not tip me. Little Scrappy from Lies and Hip Hop. He came to my kiosk. We talked about God. He left me nothing. I acted like I didn't know. Fetty Wap, Fetty Wap. Yes. He left me 14 cents. He said, keep the change. And I acted like I didn't. So go.
Doesn't that make you want to throw the money at somebody, though? Like 14 cents? That's so fucking disrespectful.
That's what everybody says. But I'm going to look at it from a mature standpoint. That goes to my piggy bank, and I take those coins, and I take it to Coinstar, and I, get whatever's left. So it does add up.
Right. Okay. All right.
But it still is sad and deplorable, especially with all those people, man.
Yeah.
I used to get excited when I when I would have people come to my kiosk with Louis Vuitton, Balenciaga, because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, they got money.
Right.
Times out of 10, people who have designer clothing on are going to be the ones who are not tipping.
Right.
But the people who don't have designer clothing on are the ones who are going to leave a nice tip.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
so that's one thing I've learned.
It goes to show, because those people are in the same realm as you, right? They're thinking like, you know, you're working hard. I know what it's like to work hard, and you know, to leave a little something extra goes a long way, because when it's given to you, you can appreciate it in the same respect. And that's why I think what you said before was really intelligent, that people should work in some kind of service towards others, because you do learn a lot. When I was younger, before I joined the military, I worked in a hospital as a security guard. And it was my senior year of high school, and having to work, seeing people that were coming in really either injured or sick, or that had to get put into like the 6th floor of the hospital, which was unfortunate because they were losing their mind for some kind of a reason or another.
Yeah, 6th floor was the mental institute in Pennsylvania.
You would see things from a different perspective. And I think it makes you grow up a little bit faster, and you learn to appreciate the little things that you do have in your life. So, yeah, you know, even though if somebody gave me 14 cents, I would absolutely throw it at them. You're a bigger person for me than that. But you know, like, I'm just.
Yeah, generally.
No, my eye twitch.
I'm sure. Like, you know what it is, too? Like, growing up in Brooklyn, like, when we didn't have much, respect was the currency. You know, I respected you, you respected me, and that was our currency. Like, we all grew up together, like, yo, we're all in the same fucking boat, so let's show each other that respect, and it went a long way.
Yeah. I do find the people that have worked in those industries, where in the service industry of some kind, tend to, when they do get to the point where they have money and they're in that position, treat the service people better, because they've been on the other side. It's the people that have never had a real job, but then somehow landed into something that's given them a tremendous amount of money, that they don't have the respect for the people they're dealing with day in and day out, especially along the lines of the service industry, where they're looking down on them because they've never done that work. They've never been there where that tip is part of what pays your bills, because a lot of these places, they like to, you know, pay you the minimum, and below minimum is always possible in a job they could tip. If they could go below minimum, sure as shit, they're going below minimum. And those pennies, they do add up, and they really do add up for people in the service industry, where that tip is really most of their money at the end of the day.
That's true. And, you know, I still get an hourly pay, hourly wage, but it's not nothing where, because I only work 3 days a week. I work at the airport. I want all 10,000 of you listeners to come see me. Hartsfield, Jackson, Atlanta, Concourse B is in Bravo 09. I'm there Friday, Saturday, Sunday at a kiosk, TGI Fridays kiosk, late morning to early evening. Leave me a tip. I'm not talking about your penis or strap on. I'm talking about pocket change. You gotta be specific, because, you know, these men, they watch so many movies. They're like, oh, yeah. She says hello to me. She's gonna want it. So I just want you to leave. Just support me, okay?
Yeah. And I gotta say, I should tell you, the guys should know, like, it's an ugly body part.
Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants to see that shit. Nobody's ever happy to see a picture or receive a picture.
Send me a picture, and I'm like, none of these looked attractive. And I'm gonna make a skit about that. I'm gonna make a video about that, you know, and stuff like that. You know, none of them had looked attractive. It just all looked like, bro, it looked like a skinny blunt. It just looked bad. And I'm like, you're showcasing that off, like. My thing is, and I asked some men, I said, why is it that men are quick to do that? They said, Kyndra, because they don't have respect for themselves.
Correct.
Nor do they have respect for you.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. Like, you literally, I've had conversations with a guy, like literally 5 we on message number 5 talking about something, they'll just send that to me. You know,
That's fucking wild. I can't even imagine the mindset to do that.
Yeah, that
is. I always thought that if the woman doesn't ask, like, wait till she asks.
Yeah.
Or wait. I had one guy. He got so excited because I had mentioned he's in his 40s.
Right.
I had mentioned something about me recreating the Little Kim's Hardcore album one day, and he said to me, "Oh well, send that to him." I'm like, "No, it's gonna go on the World Wide Web. Everybody can see it." And he got so excited that he sent me a picture of him and his Lego My Ego boxers.
Yo, was he holding syrup though? But was he holding syrup?
I said, "Why did you do that?" No, he just was. It was his little Pixel phone, like a flip phone.
Oh man, like he missed the mark. If he was holding syrup, that could have been funny.
No, I said, "Why did you do that?" He's like, "I'm sorry, I just got excited. I didn't know what came over me. I won't do that again." Y'all, he did again, like a pregnancy term later.
Jeez.
You know what's worse? I'm gonna tell you guys what's really much worse. Okay.
Yeah.
What's worse about this entire aspect is that he lives in California. Okay. And I went out to California back in May, and I don't like California because it was 60 degrees and it was May 20th. I don't like that. Back to the story. So I went out there, and I'm a little ratchet. I'm a lot ratchet. I like going to the hood. I don't know why. I just do. You know, it's interesting. It's always fun in the hood. Even though I live in the hood, it's just fun going to see other hoods.
Yeah.
So I went to the Slauson Mall. Slauson Mall has gotten cleaned up over the years, but still it's pretty bad, right?
Right.
And it's so bad to the point they have police officers with bulletproof vests. I'm like, bro, they ain't paying y'all that much. Get out of here.
they're halfway to right here.
So he brought his daughter. Okay, he brought his daughter, which she probably was like 7 years old, you know. And so this was the worst part. Because again, I forgave him for what he did, you know, but this was the worst part about it. He brought his daughter to this really horrible. He could have at least said, "Hey, don't go to the Slauson Mall. How about we go somewhere else, a little bit more, you know, cleaned up, nicer environment."
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't care about my safety, his safety, or his daughter's safety. And what was worse was, I had some shorts on. I got thunder thighs. Apparently, men have never seen thighs before, so they get excited when they see mine. So he touched me, and I'm looking like, bro. And in front of his daughter, I'm looking like, wait, you know, I almost like literally like it would have been like it would have been bad.
Yeah.
I said, Kyndra, keep your composure and just like hurry up, go and see. He gave me a tour of the mall.
Right.
Like, hey, this jewelry was stolen from here.
Check it out.
You know, but still, I'm thinking like, bro, first off, you decided, you actually said it was okay to meet you here, which you should have said, "No, Kyndra, don't meet me here. Let's go somewhere else." Then you brought your daughter, and then you touched my leg, and your daughter was like, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's just not a good look altogether.
No.
Yeah.
I think he's still an active Crip member, and I'm like, bro, do you have a job? Like,
Well, listen, when we grew up in Brooklyn, we grew up in the projects. My father grew up in Brownsville. Mm-hmm. So when we would go visiting like different relatives, it was like my dad would like prepare us. He's like, "All right, listen, everybody stay close." You know, like don't make eye contact with people. They're probably crazy if they're in the stairwell and they're peeing there. You know, like we would go into like different parts to go visit our grandparents, our cousins and stuff like that. And like, you know what, as crazy as it can be in certain aspects, there is something beautiful about like living in the projects, in the hood. Like people are both shitty to each other and look out for each other. You get both sides of that fence. You get like those neighborhoods where like we grew up in, like other people, like we would rob each other, but I'd be goddamn if somebody else came from another neighborhood to rob us. We're going to protect each other over here. And that's how we did things. And like, I remember even like family gatherings, we'd go for Christmas and everybody would give gifts. And me and my brother would bring a book bag. And we would put our gifts in the book bag and then hold the book bag the rest of the night.
Make sure it came home.
You're right, because if you put your book bag down or you put your gift down, somebody was going to steal your shit before the end of the night.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's true now.
Yeah, what do you do when there's like 50 cousins and everything there? You're like, which one did it?
Yeah.
Fuck if I know.
Yeah, and everybody was really like a pro at hiding the shit that they stole. You know, they would stash that shit in grandma's house somewhere. How about you?
I've had my phone stolen twice. I I had it was over the summer. These teenagers, young, like middle school to early high school, broke into my car. Don't know how they knew, like, I had some weed in there and my rolling tray. And I'm like, bro, like, and mind you, I don't even smoke weed like that. It's every now and again, but I like graduated high school. I mean, not high school. I graduated college and it was my birthday. I'm like, let me just go celebrate, right? I'm like, bro, and I had it like hidden. And I'm like, bro, you got some freaking junkies. I would have shared it with you.
Yeah.
But I mean, those are the two things. And I really, if you guys have seen the movie A Thin Line Between Love and Hate, I was like, when Martin had his car broken into at the police station.
Yes.
I thought to myself, bro, what man or woman did I piss off? I was sitting in my car for like 5 minutes, just sitting there, just staring into the abyss. And we were like, oh my gosh, our car got broken into.
Yeah. What about you, Ed?
I've been lucky in the terms of getting robbed, but the one thing I do remember, and when we were younger, it was when we went on vacation. The one time a year we would go to Daniel's.
Yes. Yeah.
And we had came back from Pennsylvania, got back to Brooklyn, and we're going in the front door, and the front door is open, and someone had fire escape. Climbed up, broke it through the window. Everything that was electronic that wasn't bolted down was just gone. And it's funny to think now because you walk into the door, and you're like, oh my god, is my Sega Genesis still there?
Yeah, like you start thinking about, like, when you're that young, especially, like, when I remember that when we came home, the house was robbed, and like the first thing you think about is like, what's the most important? And of course, we're like, the video game console. Oh no, like our clothes we could replace and shit. But it was like that video game console was like a Christmas gift, and like that's the one time a year where we would get something nice. Not that our parents didn't care. It was just they would save. I know my mother would save all year long to buy that one nice gift.
Yeah, and that's the gift for both of you.
Yes.
You need to share that shit because it's expensive. That's yours.
Yeah. I do have a funny almost getting robbed story. And it was actually in Brooklyn with my friend Rob, as a matter of fact. And it was at the time when those polo bubble jackets, the reversible ones came out. I remember
that.
And I think we were in junior high. And he just got it. He was so proud. It was bright fucking yellow, like school bus yellow. And the inside was blue, the reversible side, or red. I can't remember. But we're walking down the corner, and he's so happy about the jacket. And these three guys come out of the park, and they're like, oh, man, that's a nice jacket. What size is it? And he looked at me, and I was like, this motherfucker's going to run. And at the time I was fast enough to keep up with him, but like he just starts running, and they chased us for like 6 blocks before we got into our neighborhood, and we hid in the pizzeria where our friends were, and then they kept going. But I thought I was gonna die.
So let me ask you something. Did Rob ever wear that jacket again, or he just put that jacket up for another time?
No, he wore that jacket every day. That was like the pride and joy of his collection. Like me and Rob, like we had this scheme, like we didn't have a lot of clothes. So we were the same size. So to make it look like we had more clothes than we did is I'd give him some of my clothes someday. He'd give me some of his clothes on other days, and we'd swap gear. So we look like we had fresh gear all year round and shit. But no, that jacket wasn't going nowhere. He would have died with that jacket on if they caught him.
How's Rob doing these days?
He's doing good. He's got a family. He's got kids. We still keep in touch. So it's like, it's nice. We were friends for a long time. You have any friends like that from childhood?
No, people don't last with me. And it's nothing I do, guys. I promise you, it's nothing I do. People are.
I like the disclaimer.
I'm gonna tell you this. I used to have 2 female best friends. One was from 3rd grade. The other one was from 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And as time progressed, both of them just started changing. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? Then I had another friend. I think he still thinks we're best friends. He's just a friend. We're just associates. He got knocked out on the chain level friendship. You know what? I would say my longest friendship I probably have had to date right now is maybe 5 years, 5-6 years or so.
Yeah.
That's it. But it's like I try to befriend a lot of men, but men don't really want to always be your friend. They want to do something with you at some point.
There's an ulterior motive.
Yeah, especially if you are an attractive woman.
Yeah.
Or a woman, period. You know, they're like, oh, maybe I can try to get in.
Yeah.
You can't.
No, you ain't wrong. You ain't wrong there.
I mean, but you know what? One thing I learned is, man, friends come and friends go. You have different friends for different seasons in your life, and you have to be okay with that.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I think Rob is probably one of maybe 2 childhood friends that I've retained throughout the years, because you are right. I think as you grow as a person, as you change, you're gonna find that the people you hang out with also change.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Some people you do have to just
Outgrow.
At a certain point you outgrow. It's just something that happens, because sometimes you find yourself 5-10 years down the line, you're like, that person they're still doing the same bullshit. Yeah. They're not trying to go anywhere. They're not trying to do anything.
It is.
And if I'm ever gonna try to do anything with myself, that's a person that's slowing me down sometimes. You know, it's sad to have to think, but you know, at a certain point, some people you have to just kind of let go. All right.
Yeah.
I'll meet some
I'm
new
cool
people.
with being social media friends with these people. There have been people who I thought was cool. I'm like, okay, we had a great relationship in high school. And then I try to, you know, not reach out to them and say, hey, so what's up? I don't try to do that, but like, hey, you know, sis, how you feeling today? And then they just leave me on scene. And I'm like,
all right. Yeah, you see how it is. Yeah, that's a shitty thing to do too. Like, how long does it take to make a quick and simple response? Like, hey, I'm doing good. My apologies. I'm busy at work today. That's it. That's all it takes. And it's like, all right.
They don't even be like
a small acknowledgement.
Hey, I just don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's all you gotta say.
You know what? I would even respect that. I would even respect that. You know what? I don't really like you. All right, cool.
Yeah.
You know, fuck it.
I mean,
you.
It's not difficult. We all know how that conversation is. It's like 3 messages. How you doing? I'm doing good. How's your family? My family's good. Okay, that's great. Fantastic. And we move on.
You know what? If you try to actually tell them, hey, how are you doing? I'm not good. Then they're like, what's wrong, man? You know, rent was due, man.
Oh,
you know, some people you don't even want to ask them how they're doing, because you know they're gonna probably ask for some money.
Yes. No, I know friends like that. Like, I even did some business with a person, and I won't throw him out there under the bus and shit. But then he kept hitting me up like, hey man, my rent's due and I need a little more. I'm like,
so did you ever ask him? What I do now is, if a person, this is my advice to anybody out there, if you have a person ask you for money, just say, oh, I was about to ask you for some.
Yeah.
You can do that. Or you could just ask them, hey, why do you I will interrogate them. Why do you feel like it's appropriate for you to ask me for money? What's going on with your family?
Yeah.
To the point, I'm going to interrogate them to the point where they're not going to want to ever talk to me again.
How'd you fall so far down? You want to ask me for money? There's got to be somebody else better in your life than me that can give you some money.
Yeah.
Because I understand this. At some point, we're all going to need help. That is a given. At 100%. Some point, you know, like I always say, like at some point you're gonna, need to probably give somebody a ride.
Sure.
Let them borrow a little money, but don't let your house be a hotel. Don't let your car be a taxi. Don't be a bank.
Correct.
And this is where people don't understand. Even when it comes with for me, my first thing of having my own was a car, right? And I learned, I remember my father, once he had got it for me, he said, now be aware, a lot of people are going to ask you for rides. I didn't really believe him like that, but yes, he was telling the truth. But one thing I realized is I don't even care for the $5 or $10 you try to throw at me to throw in my tank. If you really want me to give you a ride, I'm at the point now, unless God puts it on my heart, if you really want me to give you a ride, you got to pay for my tune-up. I need an oil change. Not from Walmart. I'm talking about.
No, and you ain't wrong.
Yeah, especially
somebody,
especially if
you know what somebody told me, they said don't go to these.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying not from Jiffy Lube. I had an actual or Michelin. I had an actual mechanic tell me you need to go to those mom and pop type of oil change places, car places, because they actually care about you.
Yeah.
At those Jiffy Lube, those chain places, they're getting paid the same amount, even if they do a good job or a bad job, and they will try to upsell you and tell you, okay, whatever.
100.
At these mom and pop places, they'll tell you, hey, I'm just gonna let you. Like for example, right now, my seatbelt light is on, or airbag light is on. I took it to a mom and pop pop, they said it's going to cost like $1,200, $1,500 to get it fixed. It's not necessary. And it's in your passenger side.
Right.
Ooh, nobody rides in my passenger side anyway. So they said, if you want to pay that money, you can, but I would highly suggest that you do not pay that money.
Because they're not looking to rip you off. Mm-hmm. They're not looking to take that money from you if you don't need to spend it. And it's the same thing. I do support a lot of mom and pop businesses altogether in Florida, or I would rather spend my money with somebody that I know either is a part of a business or will get compensated for it than go to somebody else any day of the week. But yeah, like the mom and pop shops, that's the way to go. I agree with you.
Yeah, because they're looking at you as a valuable customer. They want you to come back because it's a small shop. It's 5, 6, maybe 7 people at the most. You know, their business relies on people coming back regularly. Where some of these, you know, the bigger chain places, they don't care. It's just going to be another number, another line of people, and they're just going to chew you out, move it along. Here we go, next guy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let me say to bring this all thing back to a full circle, if you had a time capsule, right, and you can put one comedy in there, one movie, or even one stand-up, anything. It doesn't have to be from the 3 that you pick. If there would be one thing, like a gift that you would give to the future, like this represents the kind of comedy that you like, what would it be?
I really, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say Eddie Murphy's Raw, even though I have not seen it, but everyone loves it. I'm going to say Raw. I think
Raw and Delirious.
That's time capsule.
Yes. Okay. All right, Eddie, what about you?
Ooh, okay. Well, I'll pick one of my 3 that I didn't even get to touch on at all here.
Oh, shit. Oh, you know what? We like skipping you and ignoring you.
This conversation steered completely around it. It's all good. The movie The Big Lebowski. It is such an odd movie, and it's in itself, it's struck up actual multiple conventions a year and conversations on the actual meaning behind the movie and the characters, and it's opened up actually a lot of philosophical debate, even in film schools, about what the actual meaning and what
the dude
every little thing breaks down and depicts. It's absolutely ridiculous how far people go. You can find multiple documentaries about it. Just how much that movie itself has spurred on in creativity in terms of other people's movies and artwork and things of that nature. That's what would be my pick.
Okay. All right. For me, I think it would be a movie I didn't touch on at all, but like the Mighty Python's The Holy Grail.
Monty Python?
Yes, a Mighty, you know.
Yeah, close enough.
Potato, tomato, whatever. But I liked the movie because it wasn't your traditional comedy. These guys were like theater actors or like improv guys. And they took what they had, low budget, and they made a fantastic comedy about like a medieval setting, touching on, you know, King Arthur and the Holy Grail and all those quests, but they did it in such a funny way that even some of the disgusting scenes that they did in there were hilarious, where normally people would be like, I'm not paying to see that when I come to see a comedy.
Yes.
And they changed comedy, and I personally am a huge buff of fantasy films and sci-fi and things like that of that nature. So it's like a best of both worlds kind of a comedy for me. And I won't lie, I like cheesy comedy. So like a little bit of cheesy comedy for me, I think it's fun, it's wholesome, and it's dope. Yeah, the British humor as well. So that would be my gift to the future there. So we got Eddie Murphy. You said Raw?
Eddie Murphy's Raw.
Raw, yeah. And you know what's another one? Have you seen Delirious?
No, I'm going to keep it real. A lot of stuff I was not allowed to watch.
Okay.
Of course, I was definitely not allowed to watch that.
Yeah.
You know, my mama didn't like Richard Pryor, still doesn't like him. You know, but you know what? There's always going to be a few people who just don't care for whatever. Like, I don't like the movie Friday, so take the black card. So,
right.
like I said, it's definitely.
You know, it's great. My first apartment, it was like 3 of us. We moved into an apartment, and all we can afford to eat after we paid the rent literally was like cereal and ramen noodle soup for like a year. My mother would come and see me. She'd be like, "Are you eating?" I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't want to tell her no, but the only two movies we had was Friday and Next Friday.
Why did you tell mom the truth that you were hungry?
Because I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet. You know, so it was like I moved out on my own, on my own accord, and I'm looking at her like, "No, I'm good. Yeah, no, we're eating, we're good." You know, we actually made it a rule. Like people wanted to hang out and party at our place because, we were like 17 and had our own apartment. But it was like, all right, you can come over, but you got to bring food. It's like you bringing eggs, you bringing milk. You know what I mean? You bring in dinner? Cool. You can come over if you're bringing sustenance. So that's. Let me
ask you this. At what age did you actually finally get to that point where you're like, I can breathe now. I can eat when I want to eat. Yes. I can eat whatever. At what age did you finally start seeing the rainbow?
30.
Yeah, about 30.
No.
At 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But that's because I was the type of person that didn't like to ask for a handout. I was the type of person that I would work a regular job. I would work side jobs, and my daughter's needs came first. So she had everything she needed. She had all the shoes, all the clothes, school books, whatever she needed came first. And then I dealt myself and my wife when we took care of ourselves after that. So at 30, we both had cars. We both had good jobs where it was like we weren't living paycheck to paycheck, and it was like, oh, we can finally start saving and doing other things.
And I did essentially the same. And that's something I'd say. We saw our dad where he worked in the building we lived in. Then he also worked at night in another factory doing maintenance work there. And then on the weekends, he was hustling at flea markets and trade shows. So, 12, 14, 16-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. So it was the type of thing where we saw him put his time in. Mm-hmm. So at a certain point, it's like, you did your work for us. We need to do the work for ourselves. So if it means us working on the weekend like you did, we're going to work on the weekend. If it means working that second job, taking that side gig, doing some bullshit painting on the side, you did your part. It's time for us to do ours for ourselves so that you can just take care of yourself at this point.
Yeah.
That's it. That's real.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, I am not in a place of where I want to be. When the stimulus, not even the stimulus, when and then black folks gonna hate me for saying this, but I'm gonna call a spade a spade. When Trump was in office, I liked it a lot better because my money came on time.
Okay? Right.
Biden ain't doing nothing. But that's all the story for another day. Sure, I'm not gonna get too controversial on your podcast. but when I had, the weekly money coming to me, I was good. Of course, I decided not to be like balling at the mall or anything. I didn't want to be that person.
Sure.
I wasn't about to go buy a TV at Walmart. I saved my money so I could go and travel the world and stuff like that. That was my goal. I should have invested.
But that's dope. So traveling the world, you learn so much. You really learn people too, and different cultures, religions, all that stuff.
That's something important. that we definitely don't get the advantage of here in America. Whereas in Europe, you can get in your car and you drive to a whole nother country. You can start going country hopping. In America, each state is almost like its own kind of country, but it's still the U.S. And until you go all the way up north or you cross over to Mexico, you really need a plane to really experience really different, vibrant cultures. So taking that time when you're younger to do that traveling and see other places, that's invaluable. That's something that maybe you don't got that money in the bank, but there's lessons learned there you wouldn't learn, at home any other way than doing it then.
And that's true, and for, I would say I've seen the best of both worlds because my first, I really want to say 7 years of living, my dad, he was in the record industry. And so he was a breadwinner. So of course I lived in a nice house and everything else like that. But of course, after they divorced, I went with my mother, single parent. So it's like I was at riches and I'm at rags still. And that's another reason I'm trying to do these podcasts and try to get my name out there. And hopefully, I feel like Jay-Z is listening to your podcast. So hopefully he'll pick me up and throw me, pay off my student loans. Because I need it, But no, like there have been many a times I've been couch surfing. There have been many a times I didn't know if I was like going to be homeless or not. There have been times where I had to boil the water, take it upstairs to place in the bath, and it's been times like that, and there are times where I'm like, okay, well, hopefully I don't know like how my check is gonna be. Like there are times out, but you know what, I'm just grateful that I can have a testimony. I'm still gonna be humble no matter what.
I think that's dope. That's a great lesson to take away, is that you have to appreciate what you have and always look to build on what you have to make a better future for yourself and those around you. And at the end of the day, that should be the goal. And that's why I think too, going back to outgrowing people, when you yourself as a person, you're aspiring to do things. We are aspiring to do things. You'll find that there's always going to be 10 people that are going to be like, oh, you doing that? That's a waste of time. Oh, you doing that? You're never going to make it. And you got to say fuck you to those people, and you got to move on. When I left to the service, I had 50 people tell me like, oh, you're too small, you're too skinny, you're too weak, you're never going to do it. And when I was in basic training, every time I felt like I wanted to quit, that's the shit that played in my head to make me come home like, oh, look at this. I guess I'm a soldier, bitches. You know what I mean? Like, Kyndra, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And we look forward to this Friday joining your podcast and having some fun.
Tell us again where we could find you at with your podcast and everything.
Instagram is the Kyndra Crump Show. So D is in the KYNDRA CRUMP show. Not with no money sign, not no fake ass ASAP Rocky or Ty Dolla Sign. SHOW. You got adults out there who still who the same people who will put a money sign in replacement of the S are the same people who still text you they dad this and them and how old. Grow up, man. My YouTube is Kyndra Crump KYNDRA. Please put a space between Kyndra and Crump, CRUMP, because a lot of y'all's wheels on y'all's bus don't go round and round. And my podcast that you all can find these wonderful, very intellectual Puerto Rican hosts, the Kyndra Crump Show podcast.
Awesome.
And just type my name in on Google. You'll find me.
All right, bet. Eddie, play that music. Thank you for joining us here at the Sofa Kingdom Podcast. You can find us on
Sofa Kingdom OFC and all your relevant social media platforms, and Sofa Kingdom Podcast on most podcast players and on YouTube.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Kyndra. It was a pleasure, like I said.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Great podcast. Thank you for your time.
Sweet.